Good morning, you guys. Welcome back to the kitchen at Shepherding Pepper's Farm. It is tomato sauce making day, so we are going to be preserving a ton of tomatoes, making them into homemade spaghetti sauce. I am so excited. Homemade spaghetti sauce tastes so much better than the stuff that you can get in the grocery store, and it is a little bit of work, but I swear to you it's worth it, and it's just so delicious. I cannot tell you how excited the kids were when I told them it was spaghetti sauce day, because they get really excited to have fresh spaghetti sauce on their pasta, because anytime I make a fresh batch of it before I can anything or preserve it, we'll have it on pasta. And everybody gets to taste test it, and it's just so, so good. For me, when I am getting tomatoes in from the garden, I freeze them because they all ripen at slightly different times, and we grow so many different tomatoes that if I were to try to process all these little batches into sauce, it would be very time consuming, and it's just easier for me to do one big day, or in this case a couple big days because I didn't finish it all in one day, of making sauce rather than 100 little days of making sauce. So after I get the tomatoes in, make sure to remove any stems or leaves or anything that are connected to them. I want to make sure they are as ripe as possible, and then I put them into gallon size Ziploc freezer bags, and I freeze them until I eventually have so much that I look in the freezer and I go, all right, I need to get rid of some of this because I need space for other things. I will then stick them into a warm water bath still in the bags, and from there, I've found that if you take your tomatoes after you want them warmed up enough from the warm water that they're not all sticking together in one giant clump, but you don't need them to all be soft. I like to actually take them and pour them into my air fryer and air fry them for 5 to 10 minutes. It kind of chars them slightly, and it just gives the tomatoes an exceptional flavor. It also makes it very easy to remove the skins if you don't have one of those tomato sauce grinding tools. They have them every year when it's about time for us to make sauce. I always sit there and go, this is the year that I should probably buy one of those tools. But I already feel like I have enough appliances in my kitchen. I don't want to add any more appliances if I don't have to. So because of that, I am always coming up with different ways to try and remove the skins and the seeds from our sauce. Because when you're making spaghetti sauce, the part that you can find that gets bitter is often from having an excess of seeds or skins. So pretty much everybody will tell you you want to remove those, and you can peel the skins off of your tomatoes and then de-seed them by hand, or you can get one of those tomato grindy tools. They're, I don't know, like $150 or so. Some are more expensive, some are a little bit less, and they will get the skins and the seeds out and give you the majority of the pulp. You don't want to lose that thick meat on the tomato because that's what gives you that really chunky, thick sauce. And I've done this a variety of different ways in the past. Each year I seem to try something a little bit different, and I feel like this year was probably the most successful. So one of the the main things that I did this year was focus on getting the skins out and then the seeds. So after I ran this through the food processor, I decided to run it through the salad spinner, and it worked so well at getting the peels separated from the juices and the seeds. It was exceptional. I felt so pleased that this had worked out. Now, it didn't get every single little piece, and obviously you can see the seeds that are in the sauce there so far. But we're going to actually take this and run it through a fine mesh strainer after we've done this a few times and we've got a good batch of the tomatoes ran through the food processor and the salad spinner. And then that fine mesh strainer does a really good job of getting the bulk of the seeds out. And I feel like that just helped the sauce so much to be even better. It was already good. The sauce recipe was already great from years prior. It's been perfected and improved each year that I've done this. My grandfather, his mother was off the boat Italian, and so he loves to make spaghetti sauce and fresh pasta and homemade meatballs with a bunch of different meats in them. He's lovely. He's just a wonderful individual. And so it's just, I feel like it's in the blood. It's in the Italian blood of wanting to just have the best homemade spaghetti sauce that you can. So it's just really exciting. I feel like you could probably hear it in my voice, the excitement of knowing that the sauce turned out even better this year. It's awesome. In my house, I get cold a lot because we have the AC set at one temperature. Seth, like a lot of husbands, probably prefers to just have the AC set at one temperature and you just leave it alone. And when the AC is running, I have a tendency to get cold very easily. I will often say I'm cold-blooded, not in a mean way, but in a lizard sort of way. I like the heat. I like the sun. I will be the last person to come in from outside when it's 100 degrees out. I like heat, so I'm often putting on sweaters and cardigans in the house to keep myself warm. Now you'll probably notice that I have a huge variety of tomatoes in my sauce. A lot of people, when they are making spaghetti sauce, will stick to your sauce tomatoes. Things like Romas or Amish paste tomatoes. You even have some really good hybrids that we grew this year that did great, that are wonderful for making sauce. And the reason that you have sauce tomatoes is because the skin is much thinner. There are very few seeds in them, so you don't have to do a lot of prep work with sauce tomatoes. They're very uniform. So sauce tomatoes are kind of the standard go-to, so you don't have a bunch of extra work when you're making spaghetti sauce and marinara sauce and vodka sauce and all the different sauces. For us, we often will leave big bowls out of cherry tomatoes for people to snack on, and we'll slice up tomatoes to put on sandwiches and things like that. But if I have an excess, I will absolutely use them in our homemade spaghetti sauce. Now, we also have a really great fresh pasta sauce dish that you can make right on the stove. It's a one-pot thing. I don't remember if the videos come out or if I've just shot it. So if you've seen this, then, obviously the video is already out. And if you haven't seen it yet, that'll be out soon too, where you can use fresh cherry tomatoes and make a one-pot spaghetti dish that's very, very good, very light. The kids really enjoy that one too with, the cherry tomatoes. However, if you do a good job of getting your seeds out and your skin out, you can use any type of tomato and not have to worry about it being bitter, which is what we're doing here. So you often notice that our spaghetti sauce is not just that bright red color that people often associate with canned spaghetti sauce, which, by the way, a lot of sauce companies will add red food coloring to their sauce to make it look redder, which is completely unnecessary. Or you can use beetroot powder, as long as it's the flavorless variety. And I will do this from time to time, where I will add a tablespoon or two of beetroot powder to our spaghetti sauce. And when you're not using very much, it doesn't add really any flavor to it, but it's a natural food coloring and it can help the sauce look more vibrant and more red. So that's a little trick you can do there. But because of the fact that we do not just grow sauce tomatoes, we use golden tomatoes and gold medal tomatoes and pork chop tomatoes, all of which have a gold to orange coloring rather than that deep, vibrant red coloring. Our sauce can range from orange to red depending on what tomatoes were ran through at that time. So I use my giant water bath canner to make spaghetti sauce because it is one of the largest dishes that I have, one of the largest vessels that I have for making sauce. And I added into this about 1.5 sticks of butter. We had some butter on the counter from the kids making toast and butter earlier, and I just used that. You want to use some sort of fat as your base, and most commonly that's olive oil, but I like to also use butter as well. And then I actually discovered Irish cream butter recently, and I'm obsessed with it. It's so good. And then I put in a lot of onions. This was a very onion heavy sauce. I probably put about 3 cups of diced up onions into this, maybe 4. But again, this is a very big water bath canner. So I will try to include in the description of this recipe a simple version of this, a modified, smaller version of this, but I don't even know exactly how many cups of spaghetti sauce was used in this. It was a lot, as you can see. So I'll give you a rough estimation, and then, you know, just season it as your heart tells you to. And essentially I just got the butter and the onions cooking on the stove while I worked on the sauce. And you can see at this point we went from straining with the salad spinner the skin out of it, and now I am straining the seeds out of this. And this worked so well. Again, this was wonderful. I'm very, very excited about how well this system worked for making sauce this year. Now, I've talked about this quite a few times on the channel, but I will often be working in the background while a movie is playing, because we do movie nights with the kids, or I guess movie afternoons with the kids, where they'll have popcorn and they'll watch a movie in the living room all together. And Seth doesn't have ADHD, so he'll sit in there, and our house is just a very open concept, so even though I'm in the kitchen and I'm moving about, I can still watch the movie from the kitchen. And it also entertains Landon a little bit because he's still 4 and he has a hard time sitting still through movies. It's very helpful for everybody because I will be somewhat of a distraction if I try to sit down and watch a movie with everybody. So you might notice that I'm walking out of the shot a couple of times during this clip that has been sped up. That is because I will take the food processor into the laundry room and close the door, so that way while they're watching the movie they're not being disturbed by this excessive noise of the food processor. I am putting into this about 1.5 cups worth of red cooking wine, so that is something that I do recommend doing. You can use either a really good quality red wine, or you can use just traditional cooking wine. That's fine too. Alright, so it is day 2 of our pasta sauce making. If you have seen this ensemble before, it's because I'm filming multiple videos today. I didn't finish a couple yesterday, so it's very early in the morning. We're still kind of getting things going. This is all the tomatoes that we juiced yesterday. We're gonna get this heated up to about a simmer, and then we'll start adding our herbs and seasonings into it. And once it's simmering, I will show you that process. Yes, those are labeled.
Okay, so
Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add garlic powder, onion powder, and oregano to this to start. Now you have to understand this is a big pot. This is my water bath canner, and it's about halfway full at the moment. This is a huge pot, so we're going to be using a lot of seasonings. Obviously, the great part about making sauce at home yourself is you can dial it down if it's not your preference. So keep that in mind. Put this on the counter. Careful. Actually, we use Italian seasoning rather than just oregano. Italian seasoning. So this is about 1/4 cup. You do not want to add your seasonings then until your sauce is pretty thick and has cooked down. Seasonings can overcook and release a lot of bitter compounds. So if you cook your sauce in the crock pot for too long, you're gonna end up with bitter sauce, and it's not gonna be from your tomatoes, it's gonna be from the herbs that you add in there, and you don't want that. Now, if you cook your tomatoes in the crock pot and you don't add your seasonings until the end, that's another story. And then I'm also going to add into this about 1/4 of a cup of garlic. I really love garlic. We did add a lot of onions in there, but I'm a big believer in very heavily seasoning things. I'm gonna add about 1/8 of a cup of onion powder. I'm gonna add in a couple of, probably like 2 tablespoons, maybe like a tablespoon of black pepper. Start about 1/8 of a cup of salt.
That's a lot of salt and pepper.
It's a very large pot though. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna let this cook together on the stove for about 15 minutes, and then we can have one of the kids taste test it for us.
I'll do that on the taste testing first.
Deal. And you can tell me if it needs more
Salt, sugar.
Yeah, I haven't added any sugar to it so far, so.
Yeah, because I don't think there's really any.
You don't typically need a lot of sugar if you don't have a lot of skins, because the skins are what make it bitter. Alright.
No, this is perfect.
Okay, Ella, come try the spaghetti sauce.
I'm gonna try it.
I need to know if it needs, like, the baby doesn't feel like it needs anything. I just want a second opinion. Blow on it.
I'm gonna try it.
Because I didn't add any sugar at all this time, so.
Oh, that's really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, that doesn't need anything.
Perfect. Layla. Alexa, stop.
Yeah, you always look disgusting.
I know, it's so funny.
Because it's a little hot.
Do you like it though or not?
Yeah, it tastes good. Yeah,
That's great.
you like put it in your mouth and tastes like. Yeah, because it tastes hot.
Molly, can you try the spaghetti sauce? Go get potatoes, Sophie. Wow. You done? Okay, perfect. I didn't use any sugar this year.
Really?
Really? Not any sugar at all.
What did you use?
I used.
It tastes so like sweet, actually.
I'm so glad. Okay, perfect. Yay! All I'm gonna do is remove this from the heat enough to cool, and then I will get glass jars out. All right, so this is where things are gonna get a little bit controversial. I'm going to warn you right now that I do not always follow the canning rules. If that is something that you have an issue with, I respect your position and I expect that you will respect mine. And if you don't agree with it, this is probably where we should part ways in the video. And that's okay. It's not going to be for everyone. I, however, have found that you can reuse jars and you can reuse lids. It's very, very easy to tell if your jars have sealed. It's obvious if your jars have sealed or not. You're going to hear a popping sound. You're going to be able to touch the top. And when they're these screw top jars, I feel like it's even easier. I feel like sometimes the flat rings can be somewhat deceptive occasionally with if something has sealed. It can make it seem like it has. But I've never had a flat top screw lid that has not sealed and it hasn't been extraordinarily noticeable. It's happened to me only a handful of times, and it's very easy to tell that that's what occurred and then throw that out. So I will save pasta jars. I saved them for many, many, many years while I was beginning the process of building up our homestead, our little farm here. I began saving jars, pickle jars, sauce jars, all of these things, and they work beautifully in a pressure canner. I have not tried to reuse sauce jars like this in a water bath canner. I always pressure can my sauce because I don't add any extra acid to it. I don't add any lemon juice or vinegar. And because of that, the recommendation is typically to go ahead and pressure can it. And that is one recommendation that I do follow. If the food that I am canning does not have an extraordinarily high amount of sugar, for example, when it comes to canning jams and jellies, or if it doesn't have a high amount of acid in it, your vinegars, your lemon juice, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pressure can it. That is something that I feel comfortable with for myself and my family. Or if it has any sort of meat in it, that's a pressure canning situation. With my spaghetti sauce, I like to keep it as bare bones as possible. I don't want to add any vinegar. I don't want to add any lemon juice. I just want it to be the beautiful sauce that I just made. So because that, we pressure can it. These jars have pressure canned exceptionally for me in the past, and I will reuse them until they no longer do so. If a jar doesn't seal, what we do is we go ahead, we take it out, we put it in the refrigerator, and we use it really quickly. It's very easy, again, to tell if a jar has sealed with these specific types, because you'll hear it pop and you'll see the seal go down within a couple of hours. It's not an overnight situation. So if you're canning your stuff during the day, you'll know before you go to bed if a jar is sealed or not. You do want to make sure that the rim of the jar is extraordinarily clean, and you want to make sure you put it on there really nice and tight, and it's just wonderful. You can see that I try to let the kids be as involved in things as I can within reason. Some things they're not going to be able to do, but if they want to be in the kitchen, if they want to be helping, I will try to find ways to let them help, even if it creates extra work for me, because I think it's good for them to be able to experience doing things with you. It's very enjoyable for me too as their mom. So now when it comes to canning this sauce, these jars are not your traditional size. They kind of fall in between a pint and a quart. And if you are pressure canning a pint of sauce at 10 pounds of pressure, the recommendation is 20 minutes. 20 minutes, that was silly. 20 minutes. If you are pressure canning those quart-sized jars, then you do want to go ahead and give it an extra 5 minutes, so 25 minutes total. That is what I will do with these jars, just to err on the side of caution. Since they're kind of in between the two, I pressure can them for 25 minutes at 10 pounds of pressure. Now, the one thing about using my water bath canner is I almost always burn something on the bottom of it, and that's my fault because it is stainless steel. I do know better. If I let that pot heat up to a very high temperature before I pour anything into it, it's not going to stick to the bottom. But I'm often doing multiple things at once, doing multiple projects at the same time, and I don't pay enough attention. So we have to wash it and get all of the burnt stuff off of the bottom, which isn't always fun, but it's quite necessary. Now every pressure canner is slightly different. This specific pressure canner requires that I put 3 quarts of water into it before I can anything. So that's what I have to do. So I'm putting as many of my jars in here as I possibly can. Some of these still even have labels on them. Most of the time, after I pressure canned a jar 2 or 3 times, the labels disintegrate and they just come right off, which is nice because then I don't have to do any extra work. But yeah, so I'm going to add into this 3 quarts of water, and then I'm going to put the lid on it. I'm going to seal it. I'm going to wait for my pressure gauge to rise, steam to come out of the top part of the pressure canner, and at that point I'll know I can go ahead and put my weight on it and start my timer once it begins rocking back and forth. It is quite loud. It's not something that I would want to have in the background while I was trying to film if I wasn't planning on doing a voiceover. It's very noisy, so And here you can see our beautiful jars of sauce that are coming out. I do have more off to the side that I need to go ahead and can, but it's a beautiful thing to be able to can, 25 almost quarts worth of sauce within a 24-hour period. It's a really beautiful thing to be able to grow that food and then preserve it and be able to enjoy it. It's very rewarding. It's very enjoyable. So I hope you guys enjoyed spending this time with me. I hope you go and you make some spaghetti sauce, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, y'all.